You wouldn't believe the speeds he's driven. You wouldn't believe the forces he endures. You wouldn't believe the pressure he faces every day. You wouldn't believe the sacrifices he's made. You wouldn't believe he's 15 years old. You wouldn't believe it, but he does.
With 2 rounds and 6 races to go, Britain's Lando Norris has led the series since round 2 and showed no signs of letting up against the hard-charging international pack. Now, as we head towards the penultimate round in Taupo, it's make or break for the teams and drivers as battle lines are drawn in a must-win crucial stage of the 2016 Toyota Racing Series. Lake Taupo was created by 2 huge mega-volcanic eruptions, and there's still plenty of geothermal activity in the area. Nowadays, it's a tourist mecca, with hiking, mountain biking, fishing and water sports. And 5 kilometres out of town, another sporting attraction, the Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park, home this week to the Toyota Racing Series. The 3.3-kilometre circuit was originally built for the A1 GP Series. The circuit has 2 long straights and a swooping fast infield section dominated by turn 9 and a final tricky complex known as the Chase. Last time out at the New Zealand Motor Cup at Hampton Downs, the story was of the stunning improvement of the 17-year-old Pedro Piquet of Brazil. He was on the podium in race 1 and 2 and survived a challenging race restart to take the New Zealand Motor Cup race and put his name on New Zealand's most prestigious motorsport silverware. In doing so, he climbed from 7th place to 2nd overall. So, confirming those points, Norris 518, 52 points clear of Piquet with 456. 3 points behind is Daruvula of India with 463. And just 3 points behind him is Chinese driver Guan Yu Zhou with 460. The 16-year-old from Shanghai has had a motorsport dream from a very early age.
I did karting the first year in China, the championship. I came in 3rd in the championship, and I was a rookie year, so we starting to think maybe we try to do some more steps, and after so we win the championship for the next following 2 years, and after this we're going to England, which was one of the most competitive karting championship in the world. I live in where the team based. So I go to school there, and the team manager helped me a lot. So we basically every weekend we're testing, and during the week I go to school just to get better English and keep the study going on. I won the Rotax Junior Max British Champion and the European Champion. So obviously Ferrari want me to go to do some tests, with see how my body is and the simulator in Formula cars, and they all went really good. So that's how we signed the contract and started joining the academies. I live in Maranello now actually, so every day I just all around this Ferrari and I go training every day.
Training has become one of the keys to success in modern-day motorsports, from fitness to mental agility, diet and nutrition. Today's young driver is a highly tuned athlete.
There's a science to it actually, and you can see from all of these kids, they're so fit now. When the spectators of a racetrack watch a racing driver, all they see is a car and a helmet. What they don't see is the athlete. They don't see the athlete pushing 90 kilos of force on the brake pedal. They don't see 45 kilos each time with the dumbbells in the hands. They don't see the 3G or whatever it is, whatever car you're driving, on the neck and on the body, you know, the lungs, the inner organs of your body. And yeah, it's tough on them, you know, and it's obviously only going to get tougher as they go up the line.
Fitness is something you can't reach, you can't have enough, you know, you always can improve. With these guys, you have to be very careful in the beginning. You can't work with a lot of weight because they're still growing. Bones are soft, joints are soft, you know, it is. You have to be quite sensible with these guys. So you do quite a lot endurance training. We do also a lot climber training. We have special facilities for it. We have climber cabins. We have simulators where you really can work sport-specific, especially for Formula racing.
Warming up prior, something we never used to do. Whether you're just hitting a ball against the wall, catching it, reactions, it's activating the mind and the brain so that they're awake for that start, reactions are fast, and so many different things that you can do, which are fun for them, because otherwise they get bored very quickly and they switch off if it's just work, work, work. So we try to make it as fun as possible, and they're activating their mind and getting warmed up without really knowing about it, which is a great thing.
Coming up, Lando Norris is in 7th heaven as he takes his 7th pole position, but who can challenge him on the Taupo circuit? The Grid 4 Race 1 sees Norris and Piquet on the front row. Then on row 2, it's Munro and Markelov. 5th is Daruvala, then Joe. Then it's Habsburg and Leach. 9th is Cockington, Di Francesco 10th. Then Bruno Baptista and La Liberté. Hanses and Patak. Then Will Owen and Beret. Rodrigo Baptista, Theo Bean and Nicolas Tapero.
Well, Nicholas looking after Lando, he's a pretty laid-back character, but both the rivals on the front row, and we're getting down to the business end of the championship. What did you tell him about the start of this race?
He has to do the job, just getting off the first lane and get it P1 on first corner and then manage the race.
And for the team, you want them both to finish.
Yes, exactly.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
With 6 races to go, this is an important start for the front row. Norris on the right gets away well, so does Piquet. And there's somebody stalled on the grid. It looks like Markelov from the second row. Disaster for the Russian, but it's Norris who leads them into the first corner. Round the outside goes the Kiwi. That's Brendan Leach on the dirty part of the circuit, but everybody's safely through except Markelov, who stalled on the grid. Let's hope they get him going again. I think they did, but Norris and Piquet go at it again. The gap 52 points when they started this race. On board with Willow and the American, and Baptista, the Brazilian, just going past him on the inside and just behind Owen Patak. So Patak trying to get past Owen, and Owen trying to stay on pace with Baptista. Owen, of course, heading to the Pro Master Series again in the USA after these 5 weeks are up. Cockington got a good start. He's in the mid-pack too, the number 11. Going through shot just there. And there is Baptista, Owen, and Patak. They head down towards the hairpin for the first time. And this turn 11, one of the key corners here at the Taupo circuit. As you can see as we go on board with Patak, there's a chance to overtake here. It's nice and wide here, and there's a wide line in and a possibility of an inside move up the inside, and then the long straight down towards turn 12, 13 and 14, the chase. They've widened this and opened it up a little bit. It's a little bit faster than it was before, but that's meant there's less overtaking, but definitely less incidents through here. And now back onto the front straight again. Norris building on that lead, and Piquet going with him. A little dust flying up from Daruvala there, as Daruvala under pressure from Habsburg as they headed to turn 1. Daruvala's got the line though, and behind them is the number 86. Oh, Cockington going wide and off into the dirty part of the circuit. A mistake by the young Kiwi Formula 4 champion there. And Cockington though surviving through. This is a good battle as Habsburg really trying to get aggressive now, with Leach waiting to pick up the pieces. Habsburg, of course, early championship leader with 1 win, the Austrian. As we go on board with Brendan Leach. He's waiting for this battle to unfold and see if he can get into it himself. He's right there where he needs to be, the ITM-sponsored man. And Brendan Leach having a sensational full season of TRS. Through turn 9, Daruvala hanging in there. Habsburg's best opportunity, perhaps, coming into 11. As they head towards that corner now, the hairpin. But he's not close enough this time. Leach definitely very close, though, to the back of Habsburg. And this developing into a nice battle here for 5th place. And it is Norris, Piquet, Munro, Joe in 4th place, and Daruvala 5th. Here comes Leach on Habsburg. Side by side, Habsburg, though, has got the race line as they head into the chase. You can see, as we go on board, he has to give in. Good driving by Leach through 12, 13 and 14, and likewise by Habsburg, who kept his foot in and wasn't intimidated by the Kiwi as they go on to the main straight again. So good fights throughout this race, and the field starting to spread out here in race 1. 6-point scoring races, including this one, to go in the 2016 series. And already the pattern starting to develop at the front, certainly. Norris has dominated qualifying and most of the races and is doing so again here at Taupo. Remember, he's not seen any of these tracks. This man has, though, and whoa, bouncing over the curves, and that's what happens when you do at that part of the circuit, and luckily he gathers it all together, does Brendan Leach, 5th of the championship at the start of this weekend, very close to Zhao in the points, and needs every point he can get. Kevin Di Francesco just behind him. And, oh, Patak slowing! The pole is slowing in the number 67 car, and he pulls off to the side, and that is the end of race 1 for the young Pole, Anthony Patak, as we take a look at a replay of Markelov stranded from row 2. That was a really frightening moment for him. Here's Zhou's point of view, just jinxed out of the way, and great reactions by the Chinese at the start of the race. Here's another look at Rodrigo Baptista into turn 1. Behind Hanses and Theo B on his outside, and yes, they touch. And round goes the speed group man, and out goes Theo Bean. Back with the leaders, and Piquet has really, after Hampton Downs, with moving from 7th to 2nd place, opened this championship wide open, with Norris under pressure now. The gap 52 points at the start of this race, and Norris desperate to keep that gap, and if not, extend it, as Hannes goes off, the German, in the background in the number 18 car, and that's a broken suspension for the young teenager. Here's what happened. Up the inside, Beret turns in on his normal line, and Hanses is there. And Hanses, well, puts thumbs up, puts the blame on Beret, but really, Hanses a little bit too fast up the inside, and therefore losing several places, and now absolutely out of this race. And they'll get that repaired, I'm sure, for race 2. Back to the battle for 5th place, and Deruvala doing everything he can to hold off Habsburg. It's been a good battle throughout this race. Leach losing out a little bit. And as they come down to turn 11, this is the best place for Habsburg to make an attack. Locks up a little bit, but he's not close enough this time. And the young 18-year-old Austrian, who had such a bright start to his series, will have to build again as they go down the back straight here at Taupo. Not close enough as they head towards the chase. Looks to the inside for a moment. But Deruvala doing a very good job of keeping the pace where he needs it. Leach tries to stay with them as they go through 13, and now the last corner, turn 14. Habsburg tucked right behind the Indian now. And this is another chance. He goes to the outside. There's not a lot of room there for an overtake, and it gets very dirty, as we saw with Cockerton. He chose that line to try and get high and wide and then turn it tightly in and tuck himself behind Deruvala, and that's exactly what he's done. But Deruvala doing a very good defensive driving job as he bounces over the curbs there for a moment. And Habsburg close, but not close enough. And as we come down to the closing stages of race 1, Deruvala is going to hold on to 5th place by the looks of things. Habsburg will stay 6th and Leach 7. Di Francesco is just behind him. And there may be one more opportunity for the Kiwi to try and get on level terms with Habsburg. But here comes Norris now. A 123.608, his fastest lap. Piquet just slightly quicker, a 123.590. That's a new lap record here at Taupo. That's how fast these two have been going. And they have pulled way away from 3rd place. James Monroe, who's been on his own for much of the race, but has put in a very good display of racing. But Norris comes through the chase for the last time. And Piquet can do nothing about it. He's kept him honest, but Norris has kept it clean and takes the checkered flag, his 4th win in the 2016 Toyota Racing Series. Leach trying to make one last effort on Habsburg at the chase, but he's not close enough and have to settle for 7th place. They come out of turn 14. Deruvala stays ahead of Habsburg. Habsburg takes 6 and Leach takes 7. So good result for the Kiwis. Confirmation then, Lando Norris with the win ahead of Pedro Piquet. James Monroe, the first from New Zealand, in 3rd place. Then Guan Yu Zhou. Then Deruvala in 5th, Habsburg 6th, Leach taking 7th place, Di Francesco, Cockerton, Markelov finishing in 12th position ahead of Will Owen, DePero, Theo Bean, Timothy Beret, Rodrigo Baptista after that spin round, Hannes and Patak a DNF.
Well, the first half I definitely could have gone faster if I needed to, so I think I could have broken a bit of a gap. But then I probably would have struggled even more in the second half of the race, so we might tweak a few things.
Yeah, we had a very good start. We were both side by side. I
think we nailed it because I think third and fourth got a bit back. But on corner one, it's impossible to go on the outside. It's really dirty on the outside. So when I saw he was a bit in the front, I just let him go and try to pursue him through the whole race.
Coming up, we meet a driver who's detoured to New Zealand on his road to Indy. And Lando chooses the Hateful Eight again for the reverse grid of race 2. News over the weekend that New Zealand driver James Monroe has signed to race in the US F2000 this year. The first rung on the road to Indy. The same path taken by American driver Will Owen.
The differences in the Pro Mazda and the TRS car, although they're similar in speed, they're very different to drive. The tires play a big part. The TRS car feels a lot stiffer. It feels lighter and more agile. But the Pro Mazda, on the other hand, feels like it's got bigger tires, a little bit more mechanical grip, but it's heavier, and the wheelbase is also shorter, so it feels very different. And power-wise, they're very similar. The Pro Mazda might have more bottom-end power, but this car's got more top-end power. But the paddle shifting thing is pretty nice. It's not that different, but in racing, it comes in handy sometimes. So. Well, we've had rain for the first 3 rounds, and it's been one of those situations where you have no idea what's going to happen, if it's going to be rain or sunshine. So kind of been getting comfortable with being uncomfortable about the weather, and it's a good opportunity to learn more and to maybe do better than some drivers that I was slower than before. All this racing experience that I've got it's like a whole nother season. You can't really plan for anything in racing, but you can at least know where it's better to be in certain situations. So that's helped me out a lot. And also I've been getting more aggressive, and I think I've been able to read situations better overall. I'd like to do IndyCar. I'd like to do F1. I'd like to do just about anything. But right now I'm on the American path. I want to do Indy Lights, try to win Pro Mazda this year, and then kind of go from there. I don't really know beyond Indy Lights what I want to do.
Reverse grid for race 2 sees DiFrancesco and Leach on the front row. Row 2 sees Habsburg and Deruvula. Row 3, Zhao and Monroe. Then it's Piquet and Norris, 7th and 8th. Cockerton, Bruno Baptista, 10th. La Liberté and Markelov. Then it's Will Owen and DePero, Bean and Perret, Rodrigo Baptista and Hanses, and Patak at the back.
Well, Jennifer, as chief engineer to Devlin DiFrancesco, nervous moments for both of you. His first front row start, what are you telling him?
Basically stay calm. It's like any other race. Just needs to do his job off the front row and look forward from there.
He's quite a character. He seems the kind of guy who will raise his game, given that he's got this chance.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. He's got as good a chance as any out there. He's done a good job to work himself into this position. Obviously getting himself up from 10th in the qualifying from 10th to get himself into a position where he can take the reverse grid pole. So he's done a good job, and here's hoping for a good race.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Massive moment then for Devlin DiFrancesco of Canada on the right-hand side. Leach gets away well, though. So does Deruvula from the second row. Oh, and a big spin! And that's Nicolas DePero from Argentina who spins into the pit wall there at the start of this race. Everybody else cleaning through, and it's Leach of New Zealand who leads the way. He got ahead of Devlin DiFrancesco at the start there. An important race for Brendan Leach, who's 5th in the championship and still is looking for a runner-up spot overall as we go on board with another Kiwi, as Cockerton overtaken by Monroe, and now Baptista, as Bruno Baptista as well goes past Cockerton, going wide on the midfield there. And it only took a slight mistake through turns 3 and 4 for Cockerton to lose out. Monroe now being pushed hard by Baptista. They'll both be racing in the States. Of course, the big news that James Monroe will be racing in Formula Ford next year. Baptista will be in the Pro Master Series. Cockerton right behind Baptista as they head down towards turn 11. Habsburg all over the back of Devlin DiFrancesco. DiFrancesco leaves the door slightly open. Habsburg turns him around, and that's the worst possible scenario for the two teammates. Devlin DiFrancesco started pole, and he stopped at turn 11. And that's the worst possible scenario for Giles Motorsport. Now, down the back straight, here comes Piquet and Habsburg. Habsburg's got alongside the Brazilian. Look at this, wheel-to-wheel, headed towards the chase. Piquet, very brave indeed, keeps his foot in. Great driving by the Brazilian. That could have gone either way, but Piquet held him off. And good driving. Both men survived that. and Leach pulling away at the front. Daruvula now second place, and it is Guan Yu Zhou in third position. The Chinese driver got a good start, and he's now third. A good start also by that man, Lando Norris, the championship leader, and in fact Piquet just behind him. Then it's Habsburg. So Norris and Piquet started very well from 7th and 8th. Here's another look at the start. De Pero is the big story and just taps the pit wall. Nobody else involved, and then we go on board with the Argentinian. Comes alongside Markelov, and I think he kind of just put his foot on the power too early. Ray's view, yeah, he saw that Will Owen was coming across, and I think that kind of put him off. Di Francesco turned around by Habsburg, and that's a real shame for the Canadian, but you can see there was room there for Habsburg to have a look. But as you can see from the angle that Leach is on, that wide line into turn 11 is probably the faster. Whoa, and Daruvula at turn 9 on the grass. Dust flying everywhere. Boy, that was lucky. Loses a place, he drops to 4th, but Daruvula, the Indian, had a massive moment there. That's very fast indeed. Over 150k, if not more, into turn 9, and he got it wrong for sure and loses out there. Somehow he survives, and it's Leach, Zhou, Daruvula now 3rd, Norris 4th, and Piquet 5th. So Norris looking to move forward, and there you see, all over the back of Daruvula, his teammate, as they go through the chase and out of turn 14 to start another lap. Here's another look at what happened to Daruvula as he turns in. He just taps the inside curve that bounces him across to the outside onto the grass, and look, he's still doing over 130, and somehow, what a brave maneuver, hangs on to it. That's great driving by the Indian, and he maintains 4th place behind Guan Yu Zhou, his teammate. Meanwhile, Bruno Baptista and Taylor Cocker to continue their battle. La Liberté of Canada just behind, the pair of them. But they've been going at it since the start of this race, and it continues. La Liberté now in the mix as they come down to 11. Will Owen just behind that. Beret's alongside him. It's a 5-way battle now as they go down the back straight. Fantastic racing as we go on board with the American. He's got the Frenchman in his sights. And he jigs to the outside, and Beret goes to the inside sensibly. Luckily, they didn't come together, but that was very tight there as they exited the hairpin. Through the chase they go, on board still with Will Owen. And it gives you a graphic example of just how fast they're going as they come out of the last corner. They cross the line again, on board now with the Frenchman from E-Tech, Timothy Beret, into turn 1. La Liberté in front of him, turns in, and Beret, oh, a little aggressive to say the least, and he comes off worst as Beret and loses out to Will Owen as they head towards turn 2 and 3. And Beret just, well, no damage it seems to the wing, but he's lost out after that overtake. And look at this, a 6-way battle as a lock up there from Theo Bean. He's got Rodrigo Baptista, the Brazilian, behind him. Meanwhile, Norris has got Habsburg all over the back of him, and Habsburg would love to get past the championship leader. Norris doesn't have to win this race, remember, he started 8th. Had an excellent start and just biding his time, but doesn't really want to get embroiled in a big battle with Habsburg. Down the back straight one more time. Through goes Daruvula. There is Norris. Habsburg just behind him, and Piquet losing a little bit of ground, and this is an important race for Piquet as we go back with Rodrigo Baptista. Theo Bean ahead of him as they go down the back straight. Does he get the slipstream, Baptista? Looks to the inside, he's got an opportunity, he does. And here we go. It's going to be tight, they're side by side. Into the left-hander, this is going to be brave. Baptista, does he get it wrong? Yes! Sadly, he goes over the rumble strips there, and yeah, it was a very, very tough maneuver, that one. And sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it's brought out the safety car. To be fair, though, I think he took a tap there from behind from Theo Bean, who just about avoids him. And that's what spun him round. Lights on the safety car go out. Leach leads the field. Guan Yu Zhou right behind Leach as well he might. The restart's going to be imperative here. Daruvula's in the mix. Norris just behind. They go through the chase now. Leach will lead them onto the main straight, and away they go. Oh, and Leach got caught napping there for a moment. Didn't think he saw the green flag. It was out, but not waving. And Norris goes through. Habsburg's round him. Daruvala's up the inside, and here comes Zhou as well. Oh, poor old Brendan Leach goes from 1st to 4th in a matter of corners there. He was definitely caught by surprise as the green flag did come out, and there may be words afterwards from Leach, but either way, Great start from Jahan Daruvala of India, who has the lead ahead of Lando Norris, who, remember, started this race in 8th position. Guan Yu Zhao now still 3rd. And that has totally turned this race on its head as we go on board with Monroe, locking up there behind Piquet for a moment, but saves himself, doesn't clatter into the back of the Brazilian. And the top 5 look like this: Daruvala, Norris, Zhou, Leach drops to 4th, Habsburg still 5th. Time running out then, and Leach will be wondering what he has to do to win a race. Now Habsburg, though, lining himself up for a move on Leach. Coming out of 11, and the long run to 12 is his best opportunity to tuck himself up behind Leach. Leach jinks to the inside to try to avoid that, but Habsburg's gone with him. Habsburg's got the draft. Here he comes, goes to the outside. There's surely no room to overtake there. Leach will keep his foot in. Oh, this is side-by-side stuff, and Habsburg and Leach go through 12 and 13 together. Whoa, somehow Leach hangs on, and that was very, very tough driving by both. Habsburg coming back again onto the dust on the inside. Now to the outside of turn 1. Piquet gets into the mix. Monroe up the inside. Leach holds on. Fantastic driving. Markeloff's just behind. And Artem Markelov waiting to pick up the pieces if it all goes wrong between these four. He's just behind Monroe. And that was great driving from Brendan Leach of Invercargill, holding off Habsburg and Piquet at turn 1. And Habsburg coming through the chase there. That was very aggressive indeed, but Leach stood his ground and lives to fight another day. And now Markelov all over the back of James Monroe. Markelov, of course, off to GP2 again in 2016 as Habsburg goes onto the grass at 9. Makes a big mistake, and through goes Piquet. And 1 place lost, maybe 2, and another one. This one is Monroe going through. Just about to say Markelov, as you just see in the background behind Monroe, who got past Habsburg. He'll be off to GP2 again this season, and he'll be with Raffaele Marciello, the Italian, as De Pero pulls off the number 21 again. On board with Theo Bean, and it's side-by-side action in front of him that doesn't last long, as Beret and Patak bang together nastily in a big accident, and that surely will bring out another one. Hanses and La Liberté at the chase. Hanses continues, but La Liberté is off, and that's the end of his race too as well. So it's all going on. Meanwhile, Monroe continues, but for how long, I wonder. Surely that will bring out a safety car, if not a red flag. And it does bring out the red flag. So let's have a look at the first incident. This is Patak. He's on the outside. Beret's alongside. You can just see his car, and well, racing incident in my mind. We'll have to see Beret's on board, but really, I don't think either of them moved either way. Here we are with Beret. So he comes out. It's a little bit of oversteer on the exit there, you see it. But now he's straight, and they're really, yeah, they just touched. And, well, Beret could have perhaps gone to the left, but why should he? He was in a straight line, so racing incident, that one. Now, this one's slightly different. Hanses looking up the inside of La Liberté in the chase, and there's just not room there. He was out of control before he hit the curb, and taking La Liberté out. I'm afraid that is the German's fault. No doubt about that one. And La Liberté, just a passenger as he turned in on the normal line. And he'll be fed up, I'm sure, will Camille La Liberté, because it's not been an easy weekend for the young Canadian. But that's what this is all about. It's all a learning curve. On board with Di Francesco. Ooh, and how did he avoid that? Well, good driving from Devlin. Confirmation, though, after that red flag of the result. Daruvala with the win. Norris second on the podium again. Zhou third, Leach, Piquet, Monroe, Markelov seventh, Baptista, Bruno in eighth, Cockington ninth, Will Owen top 10, Devlin Di Francesco behind him. In 12th was Habsburg, 13th was Theo Bean, and the rest, La Liberté, Hanses, Patak, Beret, De Pero, and Rodrigo Baptista are all DNF.
Yeah, that was an exciting race for everyone, I think. Had a decent start, and then a few things happened on the first lap. I came through to second after the first lap, and I think I was quite quick in the beginning, but then I tried too hard, and I spattered off in turn 9, and was all in the gravel, bouncing through the grass, and I was lucky to come out without being in the wall, because the car was all over the place.
The controversy seems to be about the flagging and the vision of that flagging and when the green flag was waved to let you go forward. How did you see it?
Well, you can't really see at the point it went green. I wasn't really looking at the flag or the lights or whatever. I was listening on the radio, so I'm not going to be looking up, because if the guy ahead suddenly breaks or something happens, I'm just going to straight into the back of him. So I have to make sure I know where I'm going. But yeah, from my side, everything was clean. I'm sure from the other side of some people, they're not going to agree.
I think the starter man just wasn't doing his job properly. He held the flag out, didn't do anything with it. So, you know, it cost me the win. And the guys around me jumped the start for sure. So it made it a bit tough, but hey, we still finished the race, 4th place, some good points. And, you know, heading into the next race, we know we've got a good car.
Coming up, M2 competition are on the front row again for race 3, and we go behind the scenes and look at the parts that make up the Toyota Racing Series. For the teams and drivers, winning is everything. But behind the scenes, another small team is charged with keeping the TRS show on the road. Each car is made up of hundreds of different parts, and at each round, any of those parts may be needed to get a car and driver back into the race weekend.
In our transporter here, we have the spare parts for the series. We don't carry all the parts because we have some left at our factory, so what we do is we transport enough down to the South Island to get us through the first 2 races. Then we top up, basically, and then we have to reassess where we are after Hampton Downs because we're now on the road for another 2 weeks. This transporter has enough parts to cover up most of the crashes, weekend to weekend. We carry 4 spare engines, we have 3 spare gearboxes. We have a facility to repair carbon fibre bodywork, mechanical problems with the cars we can deal with as a group. My part of the operation is to make sure the parts that go out of the truck, just trying to make sure they're accounted for, so then TRS can then charge the teams for the parts they use. Look at Hampton Downs, for instance. The final race, there was 4 reasonably big crashes. The teams just want to put the cars in the transport in the containers to ship down to here. So that was fairly hectic to get them just mobile again. But Wednesday morning, they were all waiting at the door for more parts. And we took care of them all on Wednesday. The cars are back together, ready to run on the Thursday. Say the car has a minor damage to a nose cone. We actually have a removable tip on the nose cone that can be replaced here in the trailer. We have Buddy and Al who do carbon fibre repairs on site. So we supply a new nose tip, it's glued on and then given back to the team. Some of the bodywork that has minor cracks or holes or a bolt is ripped out of something, we can replace it on site for the teams.
The only Frenchman in the series is Montpellier's Timothy Beret. After a successful campaign in US single-seaters, he's here in New Zealand preparing to race in Europe. Like most Frenchmen, his ultimate ambition is to race the Le Mans 24 hours. But when he began racing, he thought he was going to be racing motorbikes.
I did so many sports like football, rugby, basketball, and I wasn't very good. So at the age of 15, I say, Dad, I want to make my passion, so I want to do motorcycle, and he said, it's too dangerous, too dangerous. And so we switched directly at the race car. You need to be at your top every weekend, It's a championship very intense because you race every weekend, so it's good because it's our passion. So we do like that we want, it was that we love, so it's great, But you need to be here at every practice, every session, and this is hard. This is good for train. I don't know what I'm gonna do. The next year I'm definitely gonna do the 24-hour of Le Mans, so that's gonna be a big step for me. The last years I win in Indianapolis, so I try to do all these things, in the same time, and that's it. That will be great.
So the grid for race 3 sees Lando Norris and Piquet on the front row again. Then it's Munro and Habsburg on row 2. Row 3 sees Zoe and Markeloff. Then Daruvala and Leach. Then it's Di Francesco and Cockerton. Bruno Baptista and Hanses. Timothy Beret and La Liberté. Patak and De Pero. Will Owen and Rodrigo Baptista and Theo Bean at the back.
Well, Mark, we get down to the business end of this championship now. Both your boys on the front row. Piquet couldn't get past Norris in race 1 when they were in this situation. Is there a difference in the setup between the two cars?
Yeah, there is. This track's terrible on tyre wear, so we expect the tyres to go off very fast. We've changed the setup to adapt for each driver. So yeah, the answer is yeah, the setup's different. We'll see which car lasts longest on the tyres.
Interesting. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thanks.
So then here we go again, the Denny Hill Memorial Trophy. Piquet versus Norris, as it's been all season long. And away we go again, and both the front row got away well. Norris got away better. Markeloff on the grass there for a moment. He's alongside Munro. Something's got to give, and it does. Markeloff in the air. Munro's out as well. Or is he? But Markeloff definitely out. Coming together with James Munro. Don't think it was any fault of Munro's, and Markeloff out of this one. Daruvala struggling for position. He's got Habsburg behind him. But a good start once again by Lando Norris. Norris got the lead. Piquet tried around the outside, but there's no room for an overtake there. And Piquet has to settle for second place, as he did in race 1. Everybody else cleanly through, and the safety car is out. Here's another look at what happened at the start. Now watch to the left-hand side. Markeloff jinks onto the dirty part of the track and tries to get alongside Munro. But there's no room on the inside there, and they come together. Markeloff not happy, says it was not his fault, as you can see. And Munro indicates in his own way that it's Markeloff's fault. There you go. So there you go. Difference of an opinion, but either way, race restart. And again, imperative for Norris to get away well, and he has done. Leach got away fast too. Piquet on the inside, Leach on the outside, and a car into the tyre barrier heavily. And it looks like De Pero again. Well, the man from Buenos Aires is having a rotten weekend, and he's out of this one. He pulls to the side again, broken suspension for the Argentinian, and out of race 3. A weekend to forget for him. And back to the midfield battle. Zoe just behind Brendan Leach. As those two, of course, fighting for the championship overall. They're both still in contention for the runner-up spot with Piquet, and there's Devlin Di Francesco, the Canadian, behind Bruno Baptista. Devlin, of course, will be racing for Trevor Carlin back in Europe in 2016. In fact, Trevor's advice was to send him down here to hone those skills, so Trevor Carlin all too aware of what the Toyota Racing Series can do for a young man's career, and this man has already been picked up by Chip Ganassi as a one to watch. And Devlin Di Francesco really enjoying the experience, not getting the results as Will Owen goes at the inside of La Liberté. And La Liberté just going through there. And poor old Camille La Liberté just trying to stay out of trouble in race 3. He too has been involved in too many incidents this weekend. Just wants to finish the weekend on a high. Taylor Cockerton in the number 11 just ahead of the number 62, the Austrian Habsburg. Taylor Cockerton really impressive this season. This, remember, his first time out in the TRS series, and he's in 5th place at the moment behind Zoe, Leach 3rd, Piquet 2nd, and Norris leading the way. So it's Norris and Piquet for the championship, and the rest are picking up points for that runner-up spot. With only 3 races to go after this one concludes. All 3 will be held at Manfield in North Palmerston, including, of course, the New Zealand Grand Prix, but 3-point scoring races for the Toyota Racing Series. Cockerton tucked in behind, and off goes Rodrigo Baptista in a blaze of dust and dirt. A classic off at Taupo. We've seen a lot of drivers go off on that part of the circuit in practice and during the races. Here's another look at De Pero hitting the tyre wall. Well, that could have been worse. And he slams the rear suspension into the tyre wall. Just got it a little too fast out of the last corner. Lost traction, and then it was all sideways, and again, another race over. Here's Baptista's crash. Yeah, just touched the curb on the inside and it threw him to the outside and onto the dirt and the dust. And we saw it so many times before in practice. Theo Bean, here's his view. Will Owen just behind Baptista, and then, well, Theo Bean put off and unsighted and ends up involved in it. I think Owen got through, but Baptista and Theo Bean involved. Race restart then. Norris has got to get this wrong right as Piquet tucks in behind. This is Piquet's chance. Here we go. Norris gets away well. So too does Zhou. Leach up the inside, Zhou round the outside. Zhou's going to hold it in on the outside. Coggiton's gone with him. Zhou surely can't get round there. We're on board with Habsburg. Leach and Zhou side by side. Zhou goes through at 3. Great driving by the Chinese. Here comes Habsburg on Leach. They almost touch, but they don't. And into 4 they go. And that was a very, very good restart from the Chinese driver, Wang Yuzhou. Just didn't give up. And Leach, who has proved himself to be just as aggressive as anyone, was holding his line. Habsburg almost touched Leach as well. Daruvula didn't get away too well, and he is stuck in the midfield. Behind him is Devlin DiFrancesco of Giles Motorsport, the Canadian, tucked up behind Daruvula as you see them going towards turn 9. On board with DiFrancesco. Took that well, and now through turn 10 and towards 11. And losing a little bit of time there, Liberté gets past the Canadian. So the two Canadians battling it out on track. First time I've seen Camila Liberté really take it to Devlin. That's good to see. Down the back straight. Number 86 is Brendan Leach. He's currently in 4th position. He's just ahead of Habsburg in 5th. Zhou is still 3rd place, and then Piquet and Norris at the front, but it's starting to spread out as they cross the line again. Everybody safely through. What can Brendan Leach do here? He was robbed of race 2, determined here in race 3. But what can he do in the closing stages of this one? On board with Coggiton, another Kiwi on a mission. It's a very tight line through there. Coming up to turn 4. Nice line by the Formula 4 champion, Taylor Coggiton. And Habsburg still tucked behind the number 86. Brendan Leach. Habsburg and Leach, of course, fighting for position in the championship, as is Daruvula. La Liberté just wants a result in the number 15. And everybody safely through after that restart. Habsburg, is he making any ground on Leach? Yes, he is, certainly here. And, of course, Habsburg have a coming together with his teammate earlier in the weekend there, so Habsburg just pulling out of it this time. Now he tucks in behind Leach, and these two went side by side last time out through this section here, through 12, now 13, and as you can see, Habsburg comes alongside and past, no, not quite. Leach will stay in and try to keep the power down. They're side by side down the main straight. Here we go again with these two. They've been at it all weekend. Leach goes to the outside, Habsburg takes the inside and does take the position. Coggiton just behind, and Leach has to give way. That was good driving by Habsburg, and maybe he learned from the last time he attacked Leach there that it's going to be tough, but he hung on in there, and Leach goes through. Good driving by the Austrian 18-year-old. And Leach decides that he doesn't want to have any fisticuffs at this stage. He too wants a result out of this one, and every point matters. 3 races to go after this. Remember, we're getting down to the business end of this 2016 series, and there's a lot of positions up for grabs. Remember, top Kiwi is also an issue. No Australians in the championship, so top Australasian, very important for Brendan Leach, and he's fighting it with Monroe and Coggiton, who's behind him now on track as we go on board with Daruvula. Race 2 winner Daruvula as Baptista goes wide at 11. Up the inside comes the Indian. Baptista holding on. Great driving by Bruno Baptista to hold on there and hold position. And down the back straight, Coggiton's got his eye on passing Leach. Meanwhile, Daruvula and Baptista continue their fight as we come to the chase. Baptista goes through. Great driving by the Brazilian. And that was excellent stuff on Daruvula, who loses out in this battle as they cross the line again. The top 5, Norris, Piquet, Zhou in 3rd, Habsburg 4th, and Leach is in 5th place. Daruvula desperate for the points, remember, with 3 races to go after this. Daruvula, another one fighting for that runner-up spot in the championship. I think the championship itself is going to be between Piquet and Norris, and that has been proved out of Hampton Downs, where Piquet moved from 7th to 2nd, and they've been fighting all through the Taupo weekend. Meanwhile, Brendan Leach trying to hold off Cockerton, and this is a great race for Taylor Cockerton as well as we go back on board with the young Kiwi. He really has grown in stature and in racecraft over the last 4 weeks. And his father, watching on the sidelines, has been a part of that. And he really has got on level terms now with these more experienced drivers, Leach being just one of them. Darula, of course, with the Sahara Force India. On the side of the car, we've got the Driver Academy in Zhao from Ferrari. So these are the best young drivers in the world. So for Taylor Cockerton and Brendan Leach and James Monroe to be competing the way they are against them is a real credit to their racecraft that they've learned through the ranks of New Zealand motor racing. And that's the beauty of this Toyota Racing Series. On to the last lap then. Norris has done an impeccable job. A winner in race 1, second place from 8th in race 2. And now from the front row and a pole position start, he's headed for victory number 5. Surely creeping ever closer to the 2016 Toyota Racing Series. Norris has rarely put a foot wrong. He's been penalised a few times for the odd bad move here. Got 6 demerit points and was moved back on the grid in Hampton Downs, but it hasn't affected him. And so far he has dominated this 2016 field, and Piquet, as you can see in second place, can do nothing about it at the moment. Piquet will follow him home and pick up important points. But Lando Norris is going to move to over 80 points clear of the lead as he heads out of the hairpin and down towards the chase for the last time. Lando Norris with a massive lead now, coming to the end here of the Taupo weekend with what has been an almost perfect weekend for him. There you can see the gap between first and second, just this complex to go through. And it has been Lando covered in glory throughout this 4 weeks. Lando Norris takes the win again, his 5th of the year. Piquet takes second. A distant third, but with very important points, will be Guan Yu Zhou. Confirmation then, Lando Norris with the win ahead of Pedro Piquet of Brazil. Zhou of China third, then Habsburg, Leach, Cockerton, Bruno Baptista 7th, Daruvala, La Liberté, Di Francesco, Monroe and Will Owen 12th. Further down, Timothy Perret of France in 13th, Patak in 14th, Theo Bean 15th, and then 1 lap down, Hanses, Baptista, Tepera and Markelov, all DNF.
You feel like the championship's coming closer?
There's still a lot of points up for grabs. I'm not sure what the championship points are like now. Obviously I'm still leading, but I need to make sure I keep up some good results.
You tried everything, and again, you couldn't beat him.
Yeah. Today he was a bit faster than compared to yesterday. It was a very tough race, very warm. The track here demands a lot. But yeah, we had the big gap to the third, and we need to work now to be in first place.
You still win this championship?
We'll try for sure.
Thanks.
I think in the championship, Lando Norris had a big gap, and me and Piquet was not so much. And with third, is always really close behind, so I just keep my head down and score some more good bunts.
This week's Hydrolink Best Under Pressure, Jahan Daruvala, turn 9 at Taupo, goes off into the dirt and the gravel, but keeps his foot on the throttle, doesn't drop below 130k, gets back on track, and would you believe it, goes on to win the race. So with 3 races to go in the series, Norris holds a commanding 86-point lead with 7:35 over Pedro Piquet of Brazil on 6:49. But with 75 points for each race win, Norris can't rest on his laurels, and the battle for second and third in the series is wide open between Zhao of China with 6:34, Daruvala of India 4th, and New Zealand's Brendan Leach still in the hunt with 5:97. Next week, it's the final round of the Toyota Racing Series. One man will walk away with the title. One man will have the prestige of winning the New Zealand Grand Prix. Join us next time out for the conclusion of the 2016 Toyota Racing Series.